were going to build our own home. Easier said than done. We had to scrimp and save every penny to get the money needed for a down payment on a new home.
You got promoted or you got more money, you were able to buy furniture, you could have more children, the children could have better clothes, and life just improved. We knew it was because you went to work.
Have you ever wondered what the rich looked like in America during the 1960s? There was no social media to show off, no flashy supercars or extravagant mansions, yet just a few small details inside the house or a single habit in daily life could be enough to make the whole neighborhood jealous. In this video, we're going back more than half a century to discover 25 things that proved you were wealthy in the 1960s. Some details will surely make you exclaim, "Wow, so that's what being a millionaire back then looked like." 8. A house with 2 bathrooms. No morning fights. Have you ever had to wait in line every morning just to use the bathroom? For many American families in the 1960s, that was a daily reality, almost like an unwritten rule. A typical ranch house back then usually had only 1 bathroom for 4 or 5 people. Mornings often turned into battlefields. Pounding on the door, impatient shouting, arguments over who needed to go first. Then came those houses that made the neighbors gasp with just one small detail. They had 2 bathrooms. Today, it seems normal, but in 1960s suburbs, that was pure luxury. 1 bathroom just for the parents, 1 for the kids. That comfort was beyond what most families could dream of. In newly built suburbs like Levittown, adding a 2nd bathroom meant serious money. It's no coincidence that real estate ads proudly declared, 2 bathrooms mean twice the happiness. The message hit home for millions, though only the well-off could make it reality. The contrast was clear. Next door, kids grew restless waiting. Parents argued over being late. Meanwhile, in the 2-bathroom home, mornings passed in calm. Children used their own space, while parents got ready, unbothered. The difference wasn't in tile or sinks, it was in the level of living. In the 1960s, America, a house with 2 bathrooms wasn't just practical. It was a quiet statement that the family had moved beyond making ends meet into the group who could live in comfort. And in the eyes of neighbors, that was a genuine wow. 7. KitchenAid dishwasher, inviting friends to see the kitchen robot. Luxury wasn't just in the backyard, it sparkled all the way into the kitchen. In the 1960s, while most American women were still hunched over sinks, hands wrinkled from soap, a few fortunate families heard a new sound. The steady hum of the KitchenAid Superba, a dishwasher launched in 1961 and advertised as a scientific wonder. A dishwasher back then cost $300 to $350, equal to several weeks of a worker's pay. For many, it was a far-off dream. But for those who could afford it, it changed daily life. Picture it. At one house, Mom scrubbed dishes late into the night. At another, the lady of the house sipped coffee and flipped through Lady's Home Journal, while the robot quietly did the work. Families even invited friends over just to watch the dishwasher run, treating it like a technology show. The KitchenAid didn't just clean plates, it erased the line between getting by and living in luxury. It turned the kitchen, once a place of drudgery, into a stage for modern living. In the memories of many Americans, the hum of the KitchenAid Superba wasn't just mechanical noise. It was the whisper of the future, signaling that this house had already stepped 1 beat ahead of the neighborhood. 6. A private phone line, ending the party line with the neighbors. If 2 cars out front were a public display, then a private phone line was the quiet luxury inside the home. Do you remember the party line? you'd pick up the receiver, and instead of your friend, you might hear your neighbor gossiping. One shared line for the whole block meant privacy barely existed. So when a family paid extra each month for Bell Telephone to install a private line, everyone noticed. Ah, they've got money. From then on, every ring in the living room belonged only to them. No interruptions, no whispered conversations. Out of fear, someone was listening. And here's a detail many recall with surprise. Kids of that era described the thrill of picking up the receiver and knowing the voice on the other end was just for them. No neighbors cutting in. It felt like stepping into a new world. A world of privacy. A luxury not everyone could afford. In the 1960s, a private phone wasn't just convenience. It was the sound of success. Each ring signaling that your family had moved from just getting by to living comfortably. For neighbors still stuck on the party line, that sound was a reminder that you had taken a step ahead in the race for upward mobility. 5. Carrier central air conditioning. A home as cool as a hotel. Close your eyes and remember a sweltering 1960s summer. The whir of a box fan barely helped, while noisy window units drowned out the TV. Most American families simply endured the heat. But then there were homes that stepped into a new era. They installed central air conditioning from Carrier or General Electric. Stepping inside one of those houses in July felt like walking into a luxury hotel in Miami Beach. Cool, comfortable, and completely separate from the sticky heat outside. No fans, no noise, just refreshing ease that left visitors amazed. By the mid-60s, a central air system cost up to $2,000, nearly a third of the price of a car. Only truly well-off families could afford it. No wonder neighbors whispered whenever they saw the Carrier service truck pull up. That house must be loaded. The fascinating part is that central air wasn't just about comfort. It was a status symbol. Guests admitted they'd linger longer just to enjoy the cool air they couldn't get at home. Back then, central air was the very definition of upper-class living. Luxurious, modern, far beyond just enough. For families willing to spend that kind of money, they weren't only buying comfort, they were buying entry into the circle of the truly wealthy. 4. 2 cars in the driveway. Richer than the whole block. Picture yourself strolling through a suburban neighborhood in 1963. Most driveways had just one old Chevrolet or Ford the entire family had to share for work, school, and grocery runs. But then you spot a house with 2 cars parked side by side. In that instant, you knew this family wasn't ordinary. A brand new Cadillac Fleetwood alone cost nearly $6,000 at the time, equal to an entire year's salary for an average American worker. For most, that was out of reach. But here, not 1, but 2 cars. Maybe a shiny Cadillac, Oldsmobile, or Buick for Dad to drive to work or church, and a station wagon just for Mom to shop, take the kids to school, or haul goods home from Sears. The sight of the lady of the house stepping out of her own car, arms full of shopping bags, while her neighbors had to wait for their husbands to return from work just to use the car, was enough to spark both admiration and envy. Kids would gather around the driveway, eyes wide at the Cadillac paint, glistening in the afternoon sun. In the 1960s, American culture, the 2-car driveway wasn't just about convenience. It was a silent declaration of the booming middle class, fueled by post-war prosperity. A suburban home, green lawn, and 2 gleaming cars outside painted the perfect picture of success. For many families, owning 2 cars was the moment they truly believed they had touched the American dream. 3. American Express Green Card. Power in your wallet. Wealth wasn't only in the backyard or the kitchen. It was in the moment you pulled out your wallet to pay. In the 1960s, while most customers fumbled with cash or wrote checks, a select few silenced the whole table with one simple gesture, placing the American Express green card on the bill tray. Launched in 1958, the Amex green card quickly became a symbol of power. By the mid-60s, it wasn't just a payment tool. It was a quiet statement that you had credit, trust, and status. The surprising fact is that very few Americans even used credit cards back then. Owning an Amex was like holding a passport into the upper-class club. Even waiters treated cardholders differently. They knew they were serving someone rare and set apart. Amex marketed cleverly, linking the card to glamorous places from Manhattan restaurants to Miami Beach hotels. The more you used it, the more you were seen as part of the elite world. And in 1960s America, that little green card turned a wallet into a declaration: I belong to the elite. 2. In-ground swimming pool, the California dream. Some things spoke for themselves. This house is rich. In the 1960s, that was the backyard in-ground swimming pool. While most American families still packed into public pools during the summer, a few suburban homes gleamed with bright blue water right out back. The shocking truth was that an in-ground pool cost around $7,500 at the time, nearly the price of a small suburban house. For most families, that was out of reach. But in California, where the sun blazed year-round, a pool quickly became the new status symbol. The TV show The Beverly Hillbillies, 1962, only fueled the dream, making the idea of poolside parties something the whole nation craved. Just compare. In an ordinary neighborhood, a BBQ meant folding chairs, a wooden table, and a few charred hot dogs. But at the pool house, parties became events. The splash of water, sparkling cocktails, and sunsets reflected on the turquoise surface turned the backyard into a stage of wealth. Some wealthy families even hired photographers to capture their poolside parties for the local paper, a not-so-subtle statement. We don't just own a house, we own our own private paradise. For the 1960s generation, the in-ground swimming pool was the California dream cast in concrete and tile, flashy, expensive, and enough to make the neighbors quietly jealous. 1. RCA Color TV, a magic window for the whole block. Any American who lived through the 1960s remembers the first time the world stepped out of black and white. In 1966, when NBC became the first network to broadcast all its shows in color, America felt like it had entered a new age. And if a family on your street had an RCA Victor Color TV, their house instantly became the cultural center of the neighborhood. Kids crowded in, sitting cross-legged on the carpet, eyes wide as Donald Duck's bright blue jacket lit up the screen or the forests. In Bonanza came alive in dazzling green instead of faded gray. Adults whispered, "It really is a magic window." The truth was, an RCA Victor Color TV cost between $400 and $600, nearly 2 months of an average salary. For many families, it was unthinkable. So if you could bring that rainbow world into your living room, you had clearly set yourself apart. RCA ads even encouraged families to throw TV parties. A single color movie became an excuse to invite neighbors and relatives to marvel. In that space, the TV didn't just broadcast images, it broadcasted the status of its owners. For Americans, the shift from black and white to color marked the line between past and future. And for those who owned an RCA Victor Color TV in 1966, they had purchased more than an appliance. They had bought the admiration of the neighborhood and the feeling of touching modern magic. So we've just closed the journey of rediscovering 25 signs of wealth in the 1960s. To many, these may seem like small details of a long-gone era, but together they reveal a vivid picture of the American dream as it once was. Which of these details made you stop and marvel? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe so we can keep bringing the past back to life together.